Convicted people smuggler hates migrants.
Seb Coe's natural woman.
And Badenoch's pre-med itated cap.
All this and more on this week's episode of News Sensation.
Hello and welcome to News Sensation, the podcast where we take a sideways look at the strangest stories from the week in news. He's Matty Curry.
And he's Chris Patel.
And this week, Matty has a big bit of news to bring you.
Yeah, Trump's dead. It's over.
Yeah, can confirm. The White House just confirmed.
White House just confirmed with a picture of him in May. He's dead.
It must be our Trump derangement syndrome that's making us make this conclusion. No, for clarification, he's not dead. But a lot of people have been counting the seconds.
They have been, I think, more so in the past week and a bit. I think off the back of the JD Vance comments, where he said, if something were to happen, and God forbid it do, my last 6 months, the last 200 days, I think he said, are like the best crash course. And it's like, you've been on 6 holidays.
Yeah, Vance the ultimate scheming eunuch as well, waiting in the wings. Also, Trump's bruising on his hand that was covered with makeup.
Yes.
And there was also, didn't he say something to the effect of, if I can solve the Israel-Palestine thing, I can get into heaven?
He's
making providential comments out here.
No, it's not
to
quite.
Clarify, he's not dead.
Not quite Eric Adams claiming the divine right of New York mayors.
Yeah, well, there's someone, it seems, has the divine right of Green Party leader, Matty, because on recording day, we're recording a bit earlier than normal. Zach Polanski has... our favourite massage therapist.
No, it wasn't a massage therapist. It was the fact that he was a hypnotherapist. Very different. Very different.
Very different.
Much less hands-on. But yes, no, we did discuss him in our trial episode.
We did release the trial. 100 likes. We'll get you to. We'll release the trial episode.
Yeah.
A lot of updates to our previous stories as well. If you've seen, if you're a regular listener, you might have seen our who's who of Vogue potential new editor candidates.
Oh, the Vogue Enclave.
The Vogue Enclave, the Enclave and the Conclave. Chloe Mal has been named the offspring of the famous filmmaker.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's also we're about to expose some great injustices if you've not seen this podcast before, but we just saw flashing across the TV on the news banner one particular injustice.
I'm furious. I mean, my blood pressure's going to rise throughout this episode. All my stories have me fired up.
Yeah.
And oh boy, we'll get to it. But we were disgusted when you came into my house. Sky Sports News HQ was on, and right across the bottom, we found out that Grimsby Town fielded ineligible players against Manchester United and being fined for it. Put us back in the Carabao Cup. We would have beaten them.
Matty, I don't want to lose again.
I don't want to lose again either.
United are a particularly holy defence, Matty. Not as in sacred as in full of holes. But holes.
Holes?
Around here.
Oh, well, let me tell you. There is a string of flags up because we'll get to why. But in the midst of the flags, they feel like they're 30 feet off the floor because they've really tied them up high by the trees out of fear of them being taken down. We'll get to it. But there's also a mission statement in the middle. And I've had a conversation with these protesters in the past. And one of the things they really harp on about is the idea, and this is actually where I find common ground with them, is that their concern is that taxpayer money is going towards housing people who are being processed for migration and asylum, rather than housing the homeless citizens of Britain and people who fought in the military Britain who are now falling on hard times. And I would agree that actually we should be finding ourselves responsible for our citizens who have fallen on hard times and to house them and to look after them. I also think we do have a duty under basic human rights law to do the same for people who are being processed for asylum and migration. So that's where we differ. So the mission statement mainly talks about taxpayer money going towards, not going towards the military veterans and going instead towards housing these migrants and to taking down the flags, which again isn't really something they're doing. I think it's still there right now. The flags are kind of staying there because at the end of the day, it's Union Jack. We're all kind of like, yep, that's the country flag. Yeah, that's the one. The banner does mention something that did break my brain though. Right in the middle, right before they start talking about the military, they say, oh, you've got the money to take down the flags, but not to fix the potholes. It breaks my brain. One, because I knew that this would be the case, that something ongoing, frustrating and quite banal would actually be the thing that pushes people down into a pipeline. But the fact that the thing that has radicalized you isn't global injustice, it isn't the genocides, it isn't, the way that we treat people who come to this country trying to make a better life for themselves and their families, and to actually help make the country function well, because the public sector cannot function without migration. And it has also seen a massive decline in available workers across things like education and healthcare since COVID and since Brexit, and we need them now more than ever. No, that's not what radicalized them. What radicalized them was potholes.
I mean, there's one character, one local character, for whom this is anything but banal, Matty.
Oh, well, no, true. He certainly knows his way around migratory channels. That's because one of the driving forces behind the sudden influx of Union Jacks in Manchester city centre, and whether that's marches or them tied to lampposts, is a convicted people smuggler who did it to pay off drug debts. Right. So in 2016, what a year, Lee Twomley and 4 others pled guilty to the twice failed attempts smuggling of 11 Vietnamese migrants through the Eurotunnel.
Yep. So he's the gangs that Starmer wants to smash.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So this is where, Starmer, pretending that he still has his human rights law credentials, he says, well, actually what we're trying to tackle is the human trafficking element, which is a genuine, serious concern, especially in such instances where it's going towards drugs. But yeah, this is exactly the target of Starmer's government, so it's no wonder he doesn't like him. But they were caught, actually, after failing to get insurance to drive in France.
Literally the final hurdle on the people smugglers checklist.
If they've done it, I can imagine, all the sort of car rental agencies around Europe just sort of that's the first thing, man. That's the first thing. They should start using this for advertising. Eurocar should be sort of get your insurance sorted here, so you don't get caught. But yeah, look, 2016 seems ever present in the mind at times like this, and it's hard not to think about when Will Self said on the telly that year, in his typically sort of sardonic manner, despite being shouted down during the conversation, that not all Brexiters are racist, but almost all racists will be voting for Brexit. And I bring this up because it bears a very stark parallel, I believe. Because not all people who have joined in with the flag hoisting are far-right thugs. That it should probably go without saying. But the far-right thugs are putting up a lot of flags. They're really
painting a lot of roundabouts and all.
Painting a lot of roundabouts, which, for road safety reasons, that's probably not. Andy Burnham, speaking of Great Manchester and Manchester City Centre, was on Radio Manchester just sort of saying, can we just kind of chill out with all that? We're not going to, we don't mind the flag. We've got the flag. I was stood in St. Peter's Square looking up at the massive Union Jack above Central Library going, that kind of covers it, right? And there's flags outside the government buildings and things. It's not...
Andy is right, but that is also probably the worst message to put out, because that is a red rag to a bull. If you're just chill out.
So what do you mean chill out?
You can't calm down, guys.
Now,
prime rage bait from Andy Burnham.
Yeah, but the involvement of the far-right thugs comes from the fact that the organising force behind it all, Operation Raise the Colours, was co-founded and is organised by Andrew Currian, who goes by the name Andy Saxon online.
Oh, they love to cosplay, don't they?
They do love to cosplay. It's also just sort of Saxon is in Saxony?
Yeah.
I don't know, sounds a bit consonantal to me.
Coburg?
Now, Hope Not Hate, who I've gathered a lot of information this week from, and I was 5 articles deep late last night, just whoa.
We don't waste our evenings.
Credit to them. Says that he is a long-term ally of Stephen Yaxley Lennon, or Tommy Robinson, as he likes to call himself. Again, likes to cosplay. And formerly a key part of the EDL's leadership bodyguard team before his current position running security for Britain First. And boy, we'll get to them. Now, he was also convicted in 2009 for a fray, which, we all have a fracas now and then.
A fray sounds quite light.
It sounds quite light. After he and 5 others drunkenly launched a racist attack on 59-year-old Stainton Barrett that ended in Barrett's death. When one of the drunk racists, Anthony Benson, crushed Barrett with his car. Yeah, they, I believe, if I remember the story correctly, Barrett approached their car after they'd been driving, likely intoxicated, asked him for a light. They got out the car, chased him, attacked him, hurled racial slurs at him. He went home They chased him all the way back to his house, where he then emerged with his brother with what was described in the report as a hammer and a machete to basically fend off the people who were racially attacking him. At which point, he had a car slammed into him and he was crushed against the wall of his own home. So there you go. This is the guy who's in charge of security, and the guy who has in his bio on his X, formerly Twitter, a buymeacoffee.com link where people can donate to help buy new flags.
Does he have the flag of Vietnam on there, mate? I know he's making a lot of trips there.
Now, the fundraising page boasts of the 1,000 flags delivered in just 24 hours to 6 districts in the Midlands. It's a big operation, and they're right at the heart of it. And, I mean, their history is not necessarily a glowing one. It's fellow friend of Stephen Lennon and former EDL bigwig Gurmit Singh.
Wait, run that name by me again. EDL, it can't be right.
It can. Gurmit Singh, who has been organising the flag raising in Nottingham. This is the same Mr. Singh who went to prison for a violent attempted robbery in 2013.
And now I have no respect for attempts at robbery. Like, if you're going to do it.
Well, I mean, they did successfully tie up the people and threaten to slash their throats, but that's a separate issue.
A bit of tying and a threat that doesn't take any skill.
It's just a bit kinky,
that's thuggish.
it's just a bit thuggish. Well, I mean, thug would be the word. Meanwhile, it is Britain First, who are the apparent central suppliers for Manchester and Birmingham, with the far-right group leader Paul Golding claiming on X, formerly Twitter, I'm going to keep saying it, that the group has donated 75% of its flag stock to local teams for Operation Raise the Colours, alongside a photo of flag-filled march, just like St. George's crosses and Union Jacks and things, as far as I can see. Golding claims that most of the flags in this photo are now on lampposts and bridges in Manchester and Birmingham. So,
does he think also the George Cross and the Union Jack aren't on prominent enough display in Manchester and Birmingham? Like, Manchester, on most of its, like, a lot of its big buildings, Manchester has, like, a flagpole with the colours on.
Like I said, you go to St. Peter's Square, you look up and go, wow, it's a big Union Jack. Meanwhile, there was I saw it on the lamppost around Piccadilly Gardens, while there was, an ongoing event for, rugby, and I thought, are they just implied? I don't know. Again, there's also a broader issue of you're going to leave flags randomly scattered around a city on lampposts and bridges, not protected from the weather elements that are a serious issue in Manchester, not being properly looked after and taken down and replaced. What are we doing here?
Well, yeah, I was gonna put a load of new sensation flags all around, but apparently that's littering.
Well, it's littering. They'll get all damp.
Permit for it.
Well, yeah, but this is also the thing. Is it's I think it's borderline more disrespectful to fly the Union Jack at half-mast everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a great
maybe they'll make it illegal to burn it like they're doing in America.
Well, yeah, it's completely violating the Supreme Court's rulings. So it's fine. They can just change the rules. So Paul Golding, while we're on the topic of the man, during his relationship with former deputy leader of Britain First, Jade Franson, violently attacked her and another woman, something he was recorded admitting to. And Franson then later told the BBC in 2019 that she thought she was going to end up dead.
Is this
another upstanding citizen here?
The security crowd.
We
need to keep Britain safe from who?
Yeah, but to protect our women and children. Interesting point there. Also interesting when you look at the statistics, the number of people involved in, say, the sort of riots and protests over the last year and a bit, and you look at the percentage of them who have been involved in, say, domestic violence and sexual abuse of minors.
Yeah, it's a media conundrum, isn't it? Because when there's someone over here who we have failed to deport who's committed a crime, obviously that's big news, and the fact that we failed to deport them is big news.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get everyone thinking, illegal migrants are doing this all the time. Whereas it's just that it doesn't get reported as white or British born because
we can't deport them anyway.
We have to deal with them.
We just have to deal with them. And again, it's I love these conversations because it's a bit like, in the States when Trump gets called out for anything related to Epstein and people go, yeah, what about Bill Clinton? And Democrats just it's not a cult of personality. Take him too.
Well, actually,
please.
I don't think party Democrats do say that.
Ah, well, true. But same thing here where people kind of go, oh, yeah, but what about the ones who have committed crimes and all this? I'm like, lock them up. Or if you can deport, if that's the situation legally that you're in, do that.
Yeah, I don't care if this person was a part of the Democrats. Take it with you when you do your...
I'm not bringing up these crimes to go, wow, proper lads here, I'm saying this is the kind of behaviour that I don't tolerate in the UK. Yeah. Good Lord. Now, the pair, Jade Franson and Paul Golding, were banned in 2016 from entering Luton. And well, I mean, that's
just blanket Luton.
Yeah, I mean, as things go, that's a band that you might want to see. But it came alongside a band from all mosques in England and Wales. So it wasn't that they were banned from Luton for anything of any real value to society. It was being harassing bastards. Now, it did lead to his arrest for attempting to enter a Cardiff mosque that same December.
Wow.
Now, also, when he came out from prison in the January, he talked about a day of reckoning and judgment for like politicians. This was 6 months after an event we'll be talking about later. Worth bearing in mind. This isn't to be confused with Golding and Franson's 2018 conviction for religiously aggravated harassment, nor Golding's conviction for producing material intended to stir up hatred in Ballymena in 2019. In fact, by October 2021, it all got very confusing because Golding had, by Britain First's own proud count, been arrested 20 times, been in 3 different prisons, and prosecuted 10 times alongside other trials.
This guy's a Batman villain.
Yeah.
Captain Racism.
Yeah, and he keeps getting out of Arkham. Yeah. Now, at the start of August, Golding was at the front of the March for Remigration in Manchester alongside Lee Twomley.
Our flag-bearing friend.
Our flag-bearing associate. Twomley, also known as Salford T-Bone, a social media citizen journalist. Basically one of the people who goes around with a phone camera and shoves it in people's faces. And,
a Charlie Beach type.
Yeah. He is also part of the 16-person group Churchill's Lions.
I mean, Churchill would not rate these people either.
Well, you say that. He didn't have a stellar record himself, let's face it. But their picture with with their sort of flag-raising ladder beneath the statue of Queen Victoria in Piccadilly Gardens was shared online by Britain First co-leader Ashley Simon, new name, new crimes, who described them as just Salford lads. Good old Salford lads. Ashley,
is that when you see people wearing Salford Lads Club? Is that what they're part of?
Yeah. It's not the Smiths. It's Churchill's Lions. Churchill's Lions does sound like a Smith song, to be fair. But speaking of Ashley Simon's descriptions of people, she did describe English blood as white in 2020.
That's English something else.
Well,
that's not blood.
While claiming English people can't be black. Yep. As this was all part of a wider replacement theory rant. So it's no wonder that she was also at the front of the remigration parade.
These people can vote, Matty.
These people can vote.
Well, actually, with all these convictions, can all these people vote?
These people can vote, and they can also determine the agenda that we talk about on This Morning, apparently. But her only career highlight, really, for me, is when, in 2021, she was tricked into leading protests outside hotels when no asylum seekers were held, after being given a bogus list by members of the public. You've been absolutely...
They're putting him in 4-star hotels. Yeah, we paid, but we booked the 4-star hotel.
So I was like yelling at people like, where are you from? It's like, Luton. I can't go there. No, sorry, that's Franson, not her. Now, back to Twomley. When the Manchester Mill realised that it was Churchill's Lions and convicted people smuggler, must be said again, Lee Twomley behind the flags, their reporter Jack Walton tried to interview Twomley, but primarily had to settle for fellow Lion Emma Boyd, who called Twomley's past irrelevant. Don't think it is.
It's like when people say they do something and then they're like, that is not a me that I recognise. That's just not me.
Twomley did message immediately after Boyd's call with Walton, basically saying, you only talked about me, not the flags. As if it's like, is there a distinction I should be making there? Yeah. You put up the flags. Who are you? Are you a people smuggler? Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I think it does. Now, Walton would eventually receive a voicemail from Twomley that ended up in the Mill as well, in which he was repeatedly called, in varying orders, and I've amalgamated this because it was all kind of the same, a big, daft, fat, fucking, weird-looking, horrible lefty cunt.
Sounds like one of our headlines.
Sounds like how people would describe me sometimes. But though Boyd was less direct with her attacks, after she wrote various comments under the posts of the Mill's other Jack journalist, Jack Delante, who was really hitting the crossfire there. That's so unfortunate.
What do you say fuck me for?
What do you say fuck me for? Now, I seriously recommend the articles, by the way. They are spectacular. If for nothing else than Walton's interview with Nick Buckley, who ran for reform in the 2021 mayoral race and then as an independent in 2024. Which, like, if you end up having to go independent post-reform, you've got to be a wrong-un. Like, it's got to be sad. If it's like you're at the last resort of a political career and even they don't want you. But yeah, just listen to his theories or read about his theories about the communists and Islamists in Manchester City Council, which, come on, and the country's foreign spending on the Beijing Lesbian Orchestra. Yes, when asked why the flags are being put up, he responded with a question of his own saying, well, why are we sending money to the Beijing Lesbian Orchestra? As a catch-all to say, where's all the money going and why is it not going to us? Now, that's the thing.
That sounds like a great story for this pod. I'm glad you brought it to my attention.
Yeah. After last week's El Sistema, I realise about the Beijing Lesbian Orchestra now. His broad point is one common among the flag crowd, that Britain's money is going abroad and into a broken immigration system. And I would also like to point out that it's funny that he complains about lefty cunts. Well, Twomley does. But these complaints are out there when it's like very much leftist policy to invest in people and infrastructure and all these different things. Not to out myself too much as a centre-left wokey. But,
if you haven't figured it out already, then turn your audio on.
Yeah, if you don't know me by now, you'll never know me. But look, alongside Buckley's incorrect prediction that the flags would immediately be taken down by the council, he also said that once people get to the stage where they think democracy doesn't work anymore, the next stage is violence.
We've already heard some violence from these people.
Yeah, well, if you look at the riots last year, that landed a lot of convictions of people. And if you look at the people playing vital and vocal roles in all the flag raising at the moment, yeah, violence is most certainly a theme. Look, I'm reminded of a different quote from a few years ago. This is for Britain. Britain will always come first. Because these are the words of Thomas Mayer before he murdered Joe Cox on the 16th of June, 2016. That's as recalled in court by the MP's manager, Fazila Aswat. Now, it was a week before the EU referendum when that murder happened. It's worth reminding people that, look, not all are racists, but nearly all racists are.
I mean, how to segue from that, Matty?
Now, Chris, tell me about some jewellery.
Oh,
Let's get bling.
A bit of light relief before Matty goes all political on you, or woke.
Also woke nonsense.
Also woke nonsense. Well, this is a good old-fashioned caper. You'll like this.
Oh, I love this.
An infamous diamond dealer has fled the UK after the country's biggest ever jewellery scam.
Ooh,
yeah, we're doing it big, baby. So
we're so back.
BBC Panorama investigated Spanish diamond dealer Vashi Dominguez, who owned a luxury jewellery retailer and told his staff to pose as customers to trick investors. Investors then gave him cash to prop up his business, which collapsed in 2023 with £170 million of debts.
Woof.
And the Vashi's retail chain promised a £157 million stock of diamonds, later only valued at about £100,000.
There's a bit of a disparity there.
A little bit. And Vashi's disappeared. But both the Met Police and the Serious Fraud Office have decided, we're not going to investigate this guy.
What do you mean?
So we're doing it instead. So let's go back to the very beginning. A very good place to start.
I agree.
Vashi Dominguez made his name supplying diamonds to the rich, and his reputation grew, Matty, as the diamond deals grew bigger. So we've got a photo of him here. We'll link it down below. All I can say is Lewis Litt's gone bad. Real bad.
Get this man in a mud bath. He needs it. Yeah.
Get him on this morning, because in 2014, he put a 500 grand string of diamonds around Holly Willoughby's neck.
On the show?
Live on the show.
This morning is having a bad day on New Sensation.
It really is. Also, that's a very extravagant kind of display. Would we see that these days, do you think?
What?
They had like a full security detail and they had him parading like a Fabergé egg.
I mean, bearing in mind that they use
egg.
I don't know, breakfast TV and stuff is sometimes always like a good spot for someone like Martin Lewis to go on and say, here's how to save money on your shopping. Oh, here's the new latest deals from the F&F brand that mean you can get your summer dress half price this year.
Exactly.
And they come on and go, here's a luxury diamond necklace. Yeah. It's not the time or place.
Well, by 2017, Vashi's stores were on the high street in London, Birmingham and Manchester. London store contained an £8,000 sofa, Matty.
Whoa, that better have been comfy.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine so. Former Vashi store manager Will Hayward said Vashi's very dynamic. He's a very charismatic character. He was almost like the Pied Piper of jewellery retail.
So a scammer? Like,
It's very catchy. I mean, even his LinkedIn recommendations talk about his bewitching charm.
Yeah, he just lures people into a trap.
And I mean, if you've seen the This Morning clip, he's got rears.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think...
Oswald Cobblepot over here.
Oh, yeah. He does look like a Colin Farrell penguin. This, I think, served him well because his stores promised a new jewellery experience where customers could work with designers and then watch their jewellery being made on site.
Oh,
it's like Vapiano for jewellery.
Or Build-A-Bear.
I don't think I want to watch mad jewellery being made.
Yeah, we don't really need the Benihana jewellery.
No, that's absolutely right. And also another offering was that Vashi promised high-end diamonds at a cheaper price. More on that.
Okay.
How they achieved the cheaper price. A former data analyst for Vashi, Charlotte Paul, said that business wasn't exactly booming at first. Charlotte Paul. Very good. She said after the shininess had worn off, we were getting like 2, 3, 4 people in it a day. And that was the reality in one of London's busiest squares. Vashi told staff to pretend to be customers so that the store would look busier, and also told them to pretend to be like, to sit on workbenches and pretend to be like goldsmiths and diamond fiddlers.
Well, actually, all the hate comments we get is just people we know. We're trying to stir up controversy for the show. So that's what we do. We go, okay, guys, just like, can you guys be like contrarians in our comment section? That'd be great.
Yeah, Churchill's lines 42. That's me. So far, this is just a funny caper-matic.
It is.
It might qualify as fraud. I don't know if it does. Yeah. I'm not making any allegations.
It'd be a wheeler dealer.
I come in peace. But staff also say the company was buying small, low-quality diamonds than customers had paid for, and scratching off the inscription number on them that shows their size and quality.
That's proper the gold stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's some Brinks mat kind of nonsense.
Someone said it was worse than the Brinks mat, the Great Train robbery, and Hatton Garden robbery rolled into one.
Whoa!
Financially, it was.
I mean, I guess
more has been taken. Investors in Companies House were being sent fake sales figures this whole time. So in 2021, for example...
You can't do that.
Well, it can. Sure, I mean, look at him. He's like, now you see me. Like, if he presented me with he'd probably, he could add a couple zeros on without just moving his hands. They're being sent fake sales figures. So in 2021, £100 million were... that was what it was claimed to have done. It actually only done £5 million.
Oh, it starts to sound like Premier League accounting.
Yeah. Could barely pay off the sofa with that one. Yeah. The company, even while it wasn't doing that great, also subsidised Vashi's fleet of luxury cars, including a Lambo and the rent on several flats in Mayfair. It missed a monopoly.
Several flats in Mayfair, yeah.
In London neighbourhoods like Mayfair, I should say. But
what
maybe Park Lane, maybe... or Monopoly, ooh. Didn't they go really woke and replace the iron or something?
I don't know. Why would I know?
I'm the culture war correspondent. Yeah, what? He'd probably be the top hat. I think this is prestige. A veneer of prestige, at least.
Veneer of prestige.
Yeah, and he would have a hotel in Mayfair. Vashi, the company that is, went bust in April 2023, shocking investors who've been told the company's diamond stock was worth, as I said, £157 million. And I'm ashamed to say the next bit of the story features Patel.
Oh, no.
No relation.
Well,
Rajnikant Patel is a real accountant who signed off the accounts. Real accountant. 22 real valuations. Mr. Patel said that he did not know the figures in the accounts were wrong, and that if he had known, he wouldn't have signed them off. But he also said he didn't know where the money was and didn't want to discuss further in case it prejudiced any future court cases against Vashi.
I mean, he's loyal.
He's loyal. He said he did not think anyone based their decision to invest purely on their accounts, which is funny. It's as if people walk in and going, "Oh, this sofa's comfy. Oh, that guy's working really hard at that work."
Oh, good kip here, actually. Put my feet up.
Bear in mind, this is the sales rep. So you just got Dragon's Den time.
Yeah, famously investors accounts. That's kind of what they're all over. They're there. Yeah. They'll read the accounts on the sofa, but the accounts matter more than the seating.
Here's a quote from Patel. Obviously, it's not good. The shareholders, the investors, have lost their money. I'm certainly very sorry that's happened, but nothing to do with us.
That is exactly
the whole reason is your company. You've actually managed to fool experienced investors as well, like Clive Schlee, the former boss of Pret a Manger, And and John Caldwell, the billionaire founder of Phones for You.
Oh, that's a name I've not heard in years.
Yeah, I know.
Phones for You. Someone said she was dead.
Caldwell said, I asked them to design a ring for me. It was terrible.
Ooh.
Someone else who fell victim was Mark Schneider, a media executive who co-founded GB News. He's as Jojo Siwa once said, "Karma's a bitch."
You should have known better.
He decided to invest about 750k. Matty is incandescent with happiness. He said it seemed good. Some smart guys from around here were in the deal. I just kind of went along with it on that basis. That's like all of his viewers. Yeah, some smart guys put up the money for this. I'm going to go along with it. Investors say they were passed between the Met Police and the Serious Fraud Office until the SFO eventually said it wasn't a complex enough case for it to take on. So I can only assume they're watching this part of the episode and going, boring!
Oh, snooze fest.
Go back to the flags.
It sounds pretty cut and dry as things go right now.
Yeah, go and get the money back.
Get it back.
That would be, if you want people to fix the potholes, influx of 170 million. I doubt it's going to trickle down.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Mark Schneider, GB News, you want to be pumping out all these ideas into people's brains about what to do with the state of the country. How about invest 750,000 into a local council?
There we go.
Rather than into a dodgy diamond business.
Well, Matty, I don't think he wants to fund communists and Islamists.
Oh, so true.
As part of this, you're just not getting it.
I'm not getting it.
So where is Vashi now, Matty?
I don't know.
Where is he?
I don't know. It's nothing to do with me.
I'm sorry that happened. The company's liquidator said that... Cool name. The company's liquidator says that £170 million is owed by the company, and 100 million of that to investors. He said he'd like to question Vashi. Yeah, I would. Yeah, have him on the pod.
Yeah.
But he's disappeared. Liquidator says he flew to Dubai on the day the court ordered the company to be wound up.
Right.
That's no surprise.
Dubai is starting to develop. Bear in mind, we bring him up a lot on this show in terms of these things.
Dubai started to develop a bad reputation.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's like its particular reputation is starting to get mixed with, like, you know, the Costa del Crime of, like, the south of Spain. Speaking of sort of like Brinks Matt here, it's starting to be like a similar thing where it's like the Gulf of crime.
Yeah. It says we've hired private investigators and there have been sightings of him. It's very Costa del Crime.
Yeah.
But we have not been given any hard evidence of a sort of residence or location in a certain place.
Well, the search continues. I can't wait for the Hugh Bonneville drama series about this in a few years. It's going to be great. With a great soundtrack, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, Matty, who would play Seb Coe, do you think, in the most recent debacle to hit the world of sport?
Who's the most snivelling twat of an actor I can think of? I'm sure an actor could pull it off.
Jesse Eisenberg.
He is good at playing the snivelling. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
athlete though, doubtful.
I would love to play him just to be age me up a little bit, maybe. I'd love to play him just to play him in the most derogatory way possible.
Age you down, I think.
What are you trying to say? I'm an ancient knave.
I'm trying to say he's not been ID'd for a long time.
Oh,
he doesn't even drink.
I have been. They didn't let me. We had this whole conversation. They didn't let me into the bar. I'm teetotal in 22. They didn't let me into the fucking bar.
Teetotal in the big 25.
In the big 25s. Sure. But yeah, speaking of Seb Coe, World Athletics have announced that all athletes in the female category of world ranking events will have to take a one-time gene test. They're bringing it back.
Great for Sydney Sweeney. She's got great genes.
Great genes.
Great for Cat's Eye. They're better in denim.
They truly are. But look, the sex screening, which isn't to be confused with what I did in my film course, which comes into force this week, aims to detect the presence of a sex-determining region Y, or SRY as I'll call it for the rest of this, gene, which is part of the Y chromosome, the gene part of the Y chromosome, and causes male characteristics to develop. Now, what on earth is going on here? Lots of science.
What's the region Y?
What's the region Y? That's actually been the headline. Now, the professor who discovered the SRY gene has called the mandatory sex testing misguided. That's right, Andrew Sinclair, the professor of translational genomics at the University of Melbourne, explained that I was in the running for that one.
Are we believing University of Melbourne?
What do you mean?
Let's go all anti-Aussie on the pod.
It's like, no, I think the one man in Australia who's not a smoker right now. He explained that using SRY to establish biological sex is wrong, saying that the science does not support this overtly simplistic assertion. Worth bearing in mind. He is also concerned about the risk of accidental contamination and potential false positives. The recent history of athletics shows his fears to be pretty well founded, I'd say. Now, the SRY gene is in a human embryo with XY chromosomes. It leads to formation of testes, which produce hormones, including testosterone, that lead to male development and can increase muscle mass and strength.
We're about to take you all to school.
We really are. And I was not good at biology. The test, therefore...
Or athletics now.
Well, that's so true. Set 3 of 4. The test, therefore, attempts to identify the SRY gene in female athletes who are DSD, those born with differences in sex development. Now, in these cases, a person's hormones, genes, and or reproductive organs may be a mix of male and female characteristics, as we seek to understand those two as separate. Such as being born with external female genitalia, but functioning testes, as was the case for Spanish hurdler Maria Jose Martinez Patino, who was banned after failing the chromosome-based cheek swab test, which was the successor to the visual inspections of the 1960s. Back in the 1980s. Now, examinations show Patino to have XY chromosomes, but also complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, or CIS. So her body never gained the benefits from the increased testosterone created by her internal testes. This swing one way, swing back the other way meant that she was reinstated as a result of her case diagnosis. And the gender verification tests would be abolished in the 1990s over concerns that female athletes were being punished for natural variations, and many were flagged up for false positives.
It's a good job as well, because if you're Maria Jose Martinez Patino, you spend your whole life training to be a hurdler. That's not a transferable skill. No. Like, yeah. So how can you increase shareholder value? I can leap fucking fast.
I can really leap. I can go. And I can leap back to back to back.
Yeah, like... when we let out early on Thursdays, I'm the first round's on me, baby.
I'll get you to the bar. Yeah. I'll be your runner. There you go.
You just hurdle over everyone at the bar.
I'm now imagining like a runner on a TV set, just like hurdling over all like the catering area. Just sort of like, yeah, I can get you that coffee right quick. No worries, boss. Whoa!
Can I pour a pint? No, you bloody can't pour it.
How do you get back here so quick? But no, so look, the situation in the 90s is that the chromosome test wasn't really doing all that much.
Yeah.
And it's worth remembering that in 1990, they discovered the SRY gene. Our Professor Sinclair does that. But they've already decided chromosome tests aren't working. The swab doesn't really help. It leads to too many false positives. And again, what ends up happening is that biological female athletes are being punished for natural variations they can't control.
True.
This is far beyond...
It's like punishing Michael Phelps for his big flippers.
Exactly. Or punishing me for my many physical advantages on all the sports fields.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Red mist.
Red mist.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah, when someone brings up Reform UK in the middle of a football match, it's bang, that row over there.
I think you have a love-hate. It keeps us in business.
It really does. Now, the former International Olympic Committee president, Thomas Bach, said just last year that it is not as easy as some may now want to portray it. This culture war nonsense.
Yeah.
That XX or XY is the clear distinction between men and women. This is scientifically not true anymore. And by not true anymore, he means that the science is finally catching up to reality. We understand things better. Let's use our understanding. But the new IOC president, Kirsty Coventry, appears open to applying gene tests across all sports, which just so happens to coincide with Trump's statement that there will be some level of sex testing applied to all women's competitions at the LA Olympics in 2028.
They said you was dead.
They said she was dead.
I mean, if Trump is at the LA Olympics, I imagine they'll also make copies of all the medals so he can wear all the gold.
Yeah, I imagine it's jealousy that he doesn't have any DSD that makes him half good at golf.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's been actual videos, wasn't there, of when he went to Scotland of his caddy throwing the ball along along the golf course.
Well, bless him, he's flat-footed. That's why he didn't go to Vietnam.
I can relate.
Yeah,
I want to go to Vietnam either, but in fact, that's something that people bring up about. That's one of the rare times I'm on Trump's side. What? Dodge that draft.
But again, a bit like people being radicalised over potholes rather than like massive international social injustices and genocide. It's a bit like Trump dodging the draft, not like Muhammad Ali because of like racial injustice in America and basically being like, all his distinctions on that. Instead, it's like, I don't want it.
No, Matty, it's because he's the most anti-war president of all time. He told me so.
And he should always believe everything he says. Now, her counterpart, Kirsty Coventry's counterpart, in the International Paralympic Committee, a committee with far more experience, it should be said, when it comes to handling categorisation on scientific grounds, is Andrew Parsons. And he said that he is opposed to such blanket solutions to gender eligibility, believing each federation should still decide its own rules. And again, bearing in mind that they go down to a bit more of like a granular detail where it might not be obvious what the delineation mark is, but they're going to try and find it. I think you know a bit more.
Yeah, we've we had a long conversation before. We did, because at the end of the day, you've probably figured it out. Neither of us are scientists, and it turns out that it's. I mean, a big political question is, what is a woman? Turns out it's almost as difficult to define what is a male and a female. The best guess we have, it's an accumulation of specific characteristics, and then you make a best guess.
Yeah.
But there's no kind of catch-all definition that fails to exclude at least a small minority of that group.
And it's the thing, like, when people try and simplify it and say, oh, just look at this science, it's simple, it's binary, it's whatever. I'm like, dude, if you know the science, you know the science makes it more complicated, if anything. Now, the IOC's position is likely based on the backlash from the women's boxing event at the Paris Games, which has also probably played a role in world boxing introducing mandatory sex testing this year. Imani Khalif and Lin Yuting both won golds despite having been disqualified from the previous year's World Championships for allegedly failing gender eligibility tests from the Russian-led International Boxing Association, those in glass houses. Now, Khalif and Yuting were both assigned female at birth, but the IBA banned Khalif for allegedly having XY chromosomes, suggesting some type of DSD. Now, as we found in our research of this, as yet, there's no scientific evidence of this at all.
Yeah. And also bear in mind, assigned female at birth could sound like jargon if you don't hear it very much. What that basically means is anyone who you think of as a female, they are literally in the same category. This was all. There's no evidence for any
besides somebody who has, and again, this gets into a different conversation that it's important to keep separate from this because that's the point of it. Yeah, like people kind of think of it on the same level of like, because it is the same level as like a gender recognition certificate. Counts as the same thing, but it's like this isn't something that you apply for. You come out the womb and they go, female. That's the situation. But again, we can talk like the transatlantic argument is separate to this, and this is something that needs to be remembered. I talk about like the culture war. I talk about these things that people are trying to make XX and XY and trying to say, oh, what is a woman? Ultimately, the reason we're talking about this story and the reason I'm bringing up Khalif is because at the very, very core of this, if you claim to be representing an athletic administration that cares about biological females in a biological female sport, it's not going to line up because the people in the firing line are the very people you claim to be representing. Okay? And again, it's confusing. So let's get through this, okay? In 2023, the same year as the World Championships were banned from, the IBA was also stripped of its recognition by the IOC for failing to complete governing, financial and ethical reforms. Having previously been excluded from running the boxing events in Tokyo, the Olympics want nothing to do with it. Now, Khalif was specifically targeted by online abuse. Madeleine Pape, a former Aussie Olympian and a sociologist at the University of Lausanne, has voiced concerns that a similar fate awaits anyone who, when they do take these tests, does come out with a result that shows a positive sign of an SRY and a potential DSD, because it will be outing them, including those who weren't aware they had one, which is very invasive. She also reiterated that it's far from being scientifically accurate as a performance indicator while being very harmful to the athletes affected, putting them through a whole process that might not actually matter in the grand scheme of their sport and the rest of their athletic career, but putting on them a lot of psychological strain. That's what we're dealing with. Now, World Athletics have insisted that positive tests will be subject to further assessments and that healthcare specialists will discuss findings with athletes to help them navigate the implications. But again, the questions have to be brought up of why we even need to go so far as to delineate who is more biologically female than the other, because already World Athletics has banned transgender athletes who had gone through male puberty, and that was back in 2023. And at the same time, DSD athletes, in the same rule sets that were brought in, now have to reduce testosterone levels to compete. So they're already trying to tackle this idea of, well, who at different points in their life would have had testosterones affecting their hormone balance more. And again, everyone has different hormone balance.
True.
It's natural deviation. It happens. when you try and put lines on where it's where a man sits and where a woman sits, where a male sits, where a female sits, it becomes so complicated. Look, all of this has been done, in the words of Lord Coe, the president of World Athletics, so that the female category of competition is reserved for those who are biologically female, where there is no biological glass ceiling. Well, if it would help, my lord, you might actually want to listen to the science rather than just imploring others to do the same thing. It might also spare you from having to figure out who is biologically female enough among biological females. A line you're likely not fit to draw, Sebastian. It's complicated. We had like an hour and a half long conversation about this.
We did, and normally Matty rants that much on his own, but this time I was involved.
Yeah, we really went for it. But yeah, I think what we see from the science, both historically and the present, this test feels inadequate if you actually want to have a functioning sex test, but also our understanding of sex, especially in the public eye and in the sporting world, needs to improve before we can go further with this.
I don't think we need to get rid of categorization altogether. I think that would totally change sport. However, it would be nice if anyone from the scientific community was backing a proposition.
In the words of one of the great minds to come out of this country, if you're going to do it right, you know? George Michael.
Sorry, George.
Now, Chris,
God, I'm going to hell.
Another arbitrary segue. And speaking of people who might be going to hell, basically, not George Michael, what you just said in that instance, in case someone missed that.
I said I was going to hell.
Guess what I'm saying? In case someone missed that, George Michael was heaven sent, and to heaven he returned. But yes, CEOs.
Capping. Not again. Well, a millionaire CEO has finally apologised after snatching a cap from a young tennis fan at the US Open. The CEO in question is Piotr Szerek. Hope I'm saying that right. Polish fans, comment down below. Roast me, please. The CEO of Polish paving company Drogbróg. I love these names.
They're great.
On Thursday, tennis star Kamil Mierszak beat world number 9 Karen Khachanov, which is big for him. I think he's around the 70 rank. After the match, he handed his cap to a young fan named Brock, but Szerek, the CEO, swiped it before the boy could take it and stashed it in his wife Anna's handbag. Well, the boy could be heard saying, "No, what are you doing?" The CEO did then give the boy something, the marker pen that the tennis player had been using to sign other things. Thanks very much.
Salt in the wound.
Szerek is an amateur tennis player himself, and he and his wife had a private tennis court at their home, as well as, according to the Daily Mail, their own lake.
Ooh.
How do you go about getting a lake? Probably ask Vashi.
Yeah, Vashi.
Are there lakes in Dubai? Probably man-made lakes.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what this could be, actually.
Oh, it could be. But did Mierszak know Szerek beforehand? The tennis player? Mierszak is the tennis player and Szerek is the CEO. Mierszak revealed that the CEO sponsored the Polish Tennis Federation. So, I mean, it's possible their paths could have crossed before. But I don't think they were colluding to cheat Brock out of a cap. And Szerek also reportedly sponsors a number of local sports programs, as well as rising young tennis players. So it's left a sour taste, Matty. So he was shamed online.
Well, I'm rightly so.
Whole host of fake statements were put out online, like someone pretending to be Szerek saying the boy should have been faster.
Oh, was this the first come, first serve thing? Yeah. I thought that, I fell for that.
Yeah, when I was researching, I thought, oh god, this is amazing. But no, that was fake. Some people also issued statements pretending to be Szerek, saying, "My family and I are looking into legal options against."
Yes, I saw that, and I was thinking, "Oh my goodness!"
There's fake comments too. So, one on Go Work, which is a Polish workplace review site, said the kids should be grateful for this free lesson in how the invisible hand of the market works. The very, very visible hand.
To be fair,
he swipes it like Vashi. Check behind your ear. And Drogbróg, the Polish paving company, has been review bombed. It's now rated 1.4 stars on Google reviews. Oof. And their site on Trustpilot was forced to close due to media attention.
Just like New Sensation will at some point.
I'm sure. I mean, if we can manage a 1.4 star rating, then we're doing something right.
Yeah. That's above the average.
So Szerek put out a statement, said he made a huge mistake and that he was convinced the tennis player had been passing his hat in my direction.
Rather than the child right in front of you. That's what it is.
I also, we will link this video in the show notes. The handoff of the pen, just like he doesn't even look at the kid, he just hands him the pen. Surely, I'm not alleging the right honourable gentleman is a liar and a crook. But that is it's a peculiar handoff.
Yeah.
Peculiar manoeuvre.
It was crook-like.
It was crook-esque, if you will.
The hand had a crook to it.
He continued, Sherrick did. I know that I did something that seems like consciously collecting a memento from a child. This wasn't my intention, but it doesn't change the fact that I hurt the boy. He hurt the boy as well. No, he didn't. Bloody rapscallion.
Here's a lesson for you.
Here's my invisible hand. You won't see it going. This is quite broken English. In emotions, in the crowd rejoicing after the victory, I was convinced the tennis player tips his hat in my direction. To my sons who've asked for autographs earlier. I would like to unequivocally apologise to the injured boy.
Spiritually, that is.
Spiritually, he's not been evaporated like they do in Polish Love Island.
Yeah, classic.
Throwback, episode 6. I think maybe my favourite so far. Check it out after this. Put it in the queue. I'd like to unequivocally apologise to the fans and the player himself. For years, my wife and I have been involved in supporting children and young athletes, but this incident has shown me that a moment of inattention can undo years of work and support.
Yeah.
It takes one tree to make 1,000 matches. It takes one match to burn 1,000 trees, Matty.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Confucius. No, stereophonics. He admitted he had sent the hat back to the boy and hoped that he had at least partially repaired the damage that was done. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, it's not obvious that it was a mistake. I think the jury's out on that one.
The jury's out.
But we did have a happy ending, because Bioshak, the tennis player, asked his Instagram followers for help in locating Brock's family.
Oh.
He made contact with them and met with Brock to take photos with him and give him a new hat.
No, it's very sweet. And then to be fair, when the video first dropped of the hat being snatched away, everyone in the comments was like, kid, you're so lucky. You're gonna get something better out of this because this will go viral, and it happens every time. It's like, oh, they took the baseball from the kid. He gets a signed baseball bat from Shohei Ohtani. You know, it's like,
right to the lake.
Yeah, I'm tempted when I have kids to stage me screwing them over in front of an athlete so they get a bunch of free stuff. But you know, speaking of mistakes and perhaps overlooking some things, perhaps one mistake in a field of trees, whatever the fuck it was you said. Sometimes there's a degree of doubt in a situation, and that degree itself might be in doubt. You see, Kemi Badenoch has long claimed that she was offered a partial pre-med scholarship to Stanford when she was 16. An unbelievable feat, quite literally, because there's no record of it or anything similar, and it's not entirely possible.
Who are we, though, to snitch on somebody about this?
I know. Who would look at say, like, you're in school and you see somebody doing something it might not be, they probably shouldn't be doing. You wouldn't throw your hand up and go, teacher.
No, I don't think you would.
No, I don't think
you would.
I would do that.
I was very bookish.
Yeah.
Even I wouldn't do that.
We were both quite bookish.
Yeah.
But, and I especially wouldn't then go on TV and tell Maura Jan about it. Anyway, pre-med, as a Conservative Party source explained, is a colloquialism for the major taken by a student before joining a medicine program in the US, since medicine programs are only available for graduate students. So after they've done their major, typically 4 years.
Right.
Badenoch, according to the party, didn't apply directly to Stanford, but had received her offer, along with others from the US, UK and Nigeria, for the US SAT scores she achieved in Nigeria.
You have won an iPhone out offer.
Yeah, honestly. She might have got the email, doesn't mean it's real. Now, were it to be true that her results were turning heads in the States, it would make her sudden struggles in England, and I'm not just talking about her political career, seem baffling, as she ended up scoring BBD in her A-levels.
Not to be really disgruntled, but that's bloody enough to get you to Oxford this year.
No, I mean, look, 3 A-levels is 3 A-levels, but at the end of the day, if you want to go around saying that you got into Stanford pre-med at 16, you've got to back it.
And they sort you out.
Yeah.
You were scouted.
You were scouted, which, does that happen? We'll get to that. Badenoch, who claims to have been a straight A student prior to...
that pesky student cheating off her.
Prior to the pesky student cheating off her. Prior to her part-time studies at Phoenix College in Morden. What's the opposite of a phoenix rising from the ashes? A phoenix burning? That's kind of what she did.
A pigeon getting run over by a car.
That was Badenoch's educational career at Phoenix College, it seems.
It's a tenure as leader of the Conservative Party.
Well, very true. Now, she blamed all this on her teachers underestimating her, including discouraging her from applying for medicine at Oxford. Worth noting, their medicine course holds the standard offer of A-star AA, with an A in chemistry and at least one of the other sciences or mathematics.
Yeah.
She got B in chemistry, B in biology, D in mathematics. Want to throw that out there, just so we're clear.
To throw out an olive branch, though, I do feel like that, especially for black students, was probably a common experience.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, even now, like, I know working class students get told,
for sure.
Don't bother.
There are numerous factors at play. Would that factor be at play for a wonderkind who scored so high in the USSAT score that she was scouted by Stanford?
Who knows?
Who knows? Now, back to Stanford then. John Ryder, who was the admissions officer at the time the offer was apparently sent, and who was responsible for international students and the allocation of bursaries, said he would definitely remember if we admitted a Nigerian student with any financial aid. The answer is that we did not do so. He knows this because at the time there were a few students based in Africa who received offers, but none from Nigeria.
Who are you going to believe, Matty? This Ryder person or a politician?
I know. Politicians always have our best interests at heart.
They do.
Just go back to Buckley earlier. Now, in regards to the SAT scores that apparently led to the offer, Ryder said, "I assure you that we would not have admitted a student based on test scores alone, nor would we have mailed an invitation to apply to any overseas students based on test scores. We would have been very nervous admitting a 16-year-old. She would have had to have had an extraordinary record." Now, not something many would associate with Badenoch, whose record is only extraordinary in regards to her baffling career successes so
in
far.
comparison to Robert Jenrick.
She does have an extraordinary reputation of falling upwards. Now, Ryder also cast doubt on the partial scholarship by suggesting that if a student needs support, and bearing in mind they did say that she didn't follow through on a partial scholarship because her family weren't able to afford it still. Ryder said if the student needed that financial support, they would offer them the full amount, saying there was no point in offering them less because they would not been able to attend. He also reiterated that they would only give someone an offer if they were sure they would be able to keep it, because they don't want to have a fiasco of them not being able to follow through. "We were very generous," he said, "and could offer only about 30 full scholarships a year." Now, the Times said in 2024, as part of an interview piece, that Badenoch won a partial pre-med scholarship to Stanford, but her family still couldn't afford it. None of which lines up so far. And this is the Times. It also said that this scholarship... Who's to say that this scholarship didn't just pass by Ryder? You know? Ryder could have been there looking at it and then missed it. Or it could have gone through someone else. Well, actually, Ryder would contest that, because he said, "I made the selections myself, subject to the approval of the dean." And he was never overruled once by any of the 3 deans for whom I worked.
Subtle flex.
He's
We
pretty...
might as well make him the bloody dean.
To be fair, a lot of this is Ryder kind of going, I was Johnny Big Bollocks, and I would know. But look...
Why has he got Johnny Ryder?
Yeah, it's a sick name.
Yeah.
For the Guardian's investigation, they reached out to Ivy League admissions coaches, an author specialising in college admission, several Stanford grads, and an Ivy League vice provost, and all of them said that they did not believe it was plausible for a place to be offered proactively on exam results alone, with no known exemptions for even the child prodigy and later Tory leader, especially since the Tory party source said that she didn't even make the application. That doesn't happen.
I wonder if she's ever brought up Rachel Reeves' CV in Parliament. Because Rachel could just look at her and go, "Ah!"
It's funny you should say that. Record of Badenoch's claim goes back to Huffington Post interview in 2017, and 8 years later nothing has emerged to give it providence. A spokesperson for Badenoch continues to suggest that she was offered a part scholarship that her parents couldn't afford to take up, and that she questions the hysterical efforts to prove this point, pointing to her subsequent degrees in both engineering and law. Not how it works. I have a degree in film and literature. Doesn't mean I can go around claiming I was getting into Harvard Law at 17.
Yeah, you got a degree in film and literature. That must mean he has 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Film and literature.
Film and literature.
I'm That's at least 3.
My degree in and. Now, these questions...
Yeah, he's bloody yapper over here. He's got a whole degree in and.
These questions, as you have said, Badenoch points out via her spokesperson, are coming from people who showed little interest in probing Rachel Reeves' hole-filled CV that has continued to contribute to the economic crisis engulfing our country. Well, funnily enough, it's the Lib Dems who have something to say about that. A spokesperson who said there's a bit of an irony there, saying that Badenoch has spent months asking questions of the Chancellor regarding her CV, but now it's time for her to answer some of her own.
Well, middle ground is not sexy, Matthew. That's why no one's listening to the Lib Dems. That's why no one probably listened to our very balanced take on the gene tests.
No.
Middle ground's not sexy.
Yeah, I think this entire show's tagline should be middle ground's not sexy, but we'll sit there anyway.
Yeah, we need a turf and a swerve and a member of Antifa.
Maybe with Zach Balansky of the middle ground. We're making the middle ground sexy again.
Big up Zach Balansky.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the meantime, if you want to catch up on everything that we've done, and maybe if we do release a trial episode involving the Zach Balansky story, and you want to know what's going on, you should follow us on our social medias. You can follow us on Instagram at New Sensation.
Or on TikTok at New Sensation Pod. Or you can watch us on YouTube if you're watching on Spotify. And if you're watching on Spotify, you can watch us on YouTube. And
dealer's choice.
Yeah,
and if you have a story for us that you want us to cover in depth next time and massively run over our time and have to slice up in a very long and arduous editing process, you can send that story to
newsensationpod@gmail.com. I still have to check.
That's newsensationpod@gmail.com.
I've got that early onset dementia. I think it's caused by the SRY gene.
Blame it on everything, Chris. Blame it on everything. But for the meantime, he's been Chris Patel.
He's been Matty Curry.
Thank you for tuning in.